Hey guys, what's going on? It's Asher coming at you today in Clash Royale, and today
Oh, okay.
I have Chief Pat on the line. Pat, how you doing, man?
Oh, I am good, man. It's always good to drop by your channel. It's been a while.
It
It's always a
has.
pleasure, though. And man, I'm excited. This is gonna be a good old time.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be great. I can't wait to chat about Clash Royale with you. When was the last time you were on the channel? It was talking Clash Royale, I think, right? It
Oh
was like
man, yeah.
back in the cock days.
I think it was way back at the beginning of Clash Royale. I don't remember
Yeah,
what. Maybe when I was
I
the
think it was
number one player in
Balance
the
or
world.
something.
Not to brag. That's how long ago it was. We did that.
I think it was
So,
maybe after you creamed me in the YouTuber versus YouTuber
uh, never forget.
contest tournament. Remember that?
Yeah, never forget the BM Inferno Tower back
Dude,
then.
I was gonna
If, if,
mention it. I'm glad you
if
did.
you watch those videos from way back then, we were so bad, but we felt like kings of the world back then. But yeah, man, it's a blast to be back on here.
Yeah, man, it's great to have you. Today we're going to be talking about the state of the game. Not to be too pretentious, but we're going to be talking about Clash Royale because there's a lot to talk about. The fact of the matter is a lot of big YouTubers have kind of slowly started to shift towards covering other games, and some people are saying that the game is a little bit stale. So I want to get your thoughts on that. Before we get into that, I have to ask, my favorite Chief Pat videos since 5 years ago, literally, were your state of the game videos on Clash of Clans, but I haven't seen you really doing those pretty much at all, at least in the last year or so in Clash Royale. So why don't you make those videos anymore, man? I love those.
Yeah, those definitely are some of my favorite videos to make. You're right. I used to do a pretty good amount of them for Clash of Clans. The big one I did for Clash Royale was back in 2016 over the summer when I think they had just released tournaments, and there was a lot of problems with progression in the game, and win trading was everywhere back when I used to get all worked up and rip my eyebrows off about that. And yeah, that was definitely a dark time. I don't think we're at that same place right now. Obviously, there's like a lot of stuff we'll talk about today regarding content and the state of the game in general. I don't think it's to that point, but even then, I think there's probably more qualified people than me nowadays to talk about it. I think, over the last, probably over the last like 9 months, you've seen a rise of a number of personalities who not only are pro players, but people who just know so much about the game. When, maybe when Clash Royale first came out, a lot of people were looking to people like me and Molt to dictate like what's going on with the game. And, in reality, that's so absurd because we're clearly not on the level or to the knowledge of a lot of people inside of the game. But yeah, Clash Royale is definitely, in an interesting place right now. We talk all the time. I mean, if you guys think that YouTubers aren't always talking about this stuff, that's definitely a lie. I'm talking to Ash. I'm blowing up his phone every other day, and he's telling me to shut up because he's taking care of a baby. But
No, lies, lies. I mean, I'm taking care of a baby, but I'm not telling you to shut up, man.
yeah. Okay,
But
well, we're always talking about this stuff, and it's at an interesting time, man. How have things been going on your channel, and how have you seen things move around so far? I'll tell you mine in a second.
yeah, sure, man. We were actually talking about this a little bit off air too earlier today, and it's a tough time right now for content creators. Not that 99% of the viewers care what life is like for us, but it's weird when you see your channel kind of growing, everybody's channel kind of growing together, and then everybody's
Right.
channel kind of falling off a cliff at the same time. It's a little bit demoralizing, but I think that you and I and most content creators, let's be honest, we do this because we're passionate about the games, but at the same time, it is our income too. So, you're kind of like, okay, what's going on here? Where's everybody going? So I think between the YouTube algorithm hit of early September when they changed things in recommended videos,
Right.
and then the game also kind of being on a little bit of a downward trajectory, I think it's made things a little bit more challenging. You always want to make sure the content is worth people actually watching. At the same time, it's I've gotten used to the new norm over here, Pat. I've gotten used to it with the views being not what they used to be.
Yeah.
So I've adjusted, but in the beginning, when things kind of in mid-September, when things kind of took that big downhill trend, I was like, ooh. For a couple weeks, I found it kind of, oh, I'm putting all this effort into videos and no one's even watching them anymore. But that's from my perspective as a content creator. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, so right now with me, I mean, not only speaking about ourselves and our channels, but even the community as a whole, this it sort of ties in together pretty well with the game. Like when content is doing well for a game on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, you know, you see people with thousands of concurrents on Twitch getting hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube. Generally, that means that the game and the community is pretty strong. And then, you know, when things are going downhill a bit, I don't know, it just gets a little worrisome. Like you think of back to the end of 2015 with Clash of Clans and how, you know, viewership started going down, and then they released the Town Hall 11 update, and things sort of exploded from there. And a lot of creators sort of migrated to where none of those guys actually came back to Clash of Clans. Was like a little bit concerning, and it gave a bit of a hit to the you know, to the game. But yeah, I mean, just talking about where Clash Royale is right now, and this ties in obviously, yeah, not just talking about content, but the game itself and just its popularity right now. Obviously, this year, specifically past March, has been a little bit dull. You know, so there's been really 2 updates since the March update. I think the March update was 2v2, if I'm not mistaken, which was
sounds about right.
Yeah, which was about 8 months ago. And since then, we had an update in June, which basically I always say on Twitter, I don't count it as an update because it was basically making 2v2 permanent. I think it added in 5 deck slots and maybe something else that was fairly small. But besides that, there was all of this hype, all of this anticipation for the update last month that didn't really change the needle. So think back to last year when Clash Royale, if you guys go to Google Trends, I'm sure Ash can link this in the description below.
Sure.
Or I'll get his password and log in for him. Basically, if you look at Google Trends and look up Clash Royale and where it is right now, Google Trends is a pretty neat thing, which will tell you the popularity of a search term. So Clash Royale at its peak was actually back in, I believe, around May of this year, something like that, or March of this year, something like that. Basically where it is right now, it's at like 43% of what it was, like of how much it was being searched. And if you look at the graph, there's lots of different peaks and valleys, and basically the peaks happen when there are updates, and then the valleys happen after, you know, basically there hasn't been an update for a while. So if you look at the chart from 2016, you know, Clash Royale was actually dive bombing pretty hardcore by the time I made that State of Clash Royale video, to where it was at like 25% of its peak. And it was looking pretty grim. And then they released challenges. They brought a whole bunch of depth to the game. They sort of figured out progression, and they made it a little bit easier for free-to-play players, and they sort of turned the game around in a big way. And now if you looked at this year, it sort of it followed a less, I guess, aggressive hill of like how, you know, the popularity of Clash Royale was declining after the big peak in the beginning of this year. And it, you know, it was falling down, but it was, you know, everyone thought that this big October update would really turn the ship around. And, you know, obviously, if you not only look at the chart, but if you played the update, it didn't really move the needle. That it was a very small like spike in popularity of the game, and then it went straight back to the downhill trend it was on. So that's sort of where we are right now. I mean, I was really hoping that the October update would, you know, be sort of like challenges to provide more depth to the game, because that's really what, you know, gets people interested in content. And that's what makes people like long-term fans of the game. Obviously, new cards are amazing and help out a lot. And I don't think the game is in as bad of a place at all to where it was last year. I think the game's in a pretty solid place. It's just a little bit stale, and obviously that affects, you know, us as content creators, because there's nothing, people aren't like really engaging with anything that's coming out. But also just for the game in general, people are really hoping that last month's update would change the needle, and it didn't. So I guess the big focus is on the update after this to really, you know, get you know, a fresh injection of fun into the game, which, you know, obviously relates hand in hand with YouTube and Twitch. Because yeah, right now, I mean, you guys have seen Nick and Molt, man, I've been talking for like 5 straight minutes. I don't even know if you're still on this call.
Keep
Nick and
going.
Molt,
That's why you're the guest and I'm the host, man.
Yeah, okay. They've moved on to like, you know, playing a lot of games, like Molt's playing Bloons Tower Defense, Nick's playing all these crazy mobile games. People are like, you know, moving off big time, you know, big mobile Twitch streamers. Obviously, I don't want to call anyone out specifically, but they've seen like drastic declines in their actual Twitch viewership, like, you know, basically getting 50. I think the biggest Twitch streamers for Clash Royale, English speaking, for some reason, the German community is crazy.
Trimax, OP.
It's OP. But, you know, the biggest English streamers are getting like 15% of the concurrence that they used to get. And it's just it's a worrying trend for the game. I mean, obviously we're biased because we're content creators, but, you know, when content viewership starts going down, the game is sort of, you know, right. It's along the same path. So I don't know, man. I'm stoked. You know, I'm very optimistic. Supercell, they're a bunch of beasts. No, they didn't pay me to say that, but they've made some awesome stuff and some awesome games over the last couple of years. And, you know, I'm hoping that with this next update, we really get like a fresh injection into the game of something awesome and something to really turn those graphs upside down. Let's
move into the actual game itself. So what do you see being in your eyes, like the number one issue that you want to see addressed in the December update?
I'd say like, so compared to last year when I was like thinking of a lot of specific problems related to progression and like tournaments and as far as that went inside of the game and the meta, this year it actually doesn't feel like that bad as far as like, you know, how the meta feels. I feel like it's super, obviously, you know, you're going to get counter decked here and there and there's nothing you can do about it, but I feel like there's tons of win conditions that are viable and I feel like the game itself is pretty fun. Yeah, as far as like a specific issue goes, I don't know if I could put my thumb on it, but I think like what the main problem with the game right now is that there just isn't there isn't like an additional feature that adds depth. I mean, if you look at Clash of Clans, they had the big update for Clan Wars, and they had other big updates. Like basically once a year, they'd have some sort of game changer that really moved the needle for the game. And for Clash Royale, I think they're really missing that at the tail end of 2017. Obviously, 2v2 was fun. You know, touchdown mode, which I forgot existed until last weekend, is fun. But, you know, there's nothing like the challenges that really change the game and change, you know, how you interact with the game on a daily basis. And that's what I'm looking for. And, you know, obviously, if I knew the answer for something that would really, you know, change things up and provide that next level of depth, I'd probably be, you know, working at Supercell. But yeah, I think we're really missing, you know, the next game changer. There has to be a game changer. Just releasing, you know, new cards. I know some people say like they want, you know, new cards. Just release all 4 new cards at once. You know, while that might be a band-aid, I don't think that doesn't solve like, you know, the desire for players to have some additional depth inside of the game. Of course, I do think like just a small side note, the card release schedule's gotten out of hand. I think that it's way, way, way too delayed. I know they're trying to reduce the amount of cards that they put in that aren't finished, because I think that's what they said when, you know, they sort of slowed it down a little bit and they wanted to make sure each card was right. But like these month-long breaks between cards are sort of brutal when, you know, we were used to you know, an every 2-week schedule. What about you though? Like what are some specific things, and maybe I can bounce onto those that you think need to be changed inside of the game?
Yeah, so I agree with you about needing like a big new feature. That's like the paramount thing that absolutely I see as the biggest thing in the game, right? feel like we as players, everybody, we need that one thing that's going to get us to have that like real addicted feeling picking up the game, right? So like I need to do this and I just want to grind the heck out of it or do whatever. Because...
Oh man, the 20 win challenge, by the way, that was the most fun I've ever had in Clash Royale. Even though I failed in a tragic fashion, I had a blast with that. I wish they would.
That was fun. I was the same way, and I failed as well. And I feel like
it was so good.
I feel like it was a lot of fun though, and that's like I want that feeling, but almost permanently, and that's the feeling I had for quite a while in Clash Royale. So I think that's like up at the very top of what I want to have changed. But the other thing that's kind of bothers me, that's been bothering me for a while, is kind of the free-to-play gap right now, especially, you know, speaking about ladder, you know, I think that ladder is, I hate people who just say, oh, ladder's broken, but ladder's broken. Right? I feel like, I really do feel like ladder has gotten way out of hand.
I quit my second account, my second free-to-play account. So I'm a level 10, I think, at around like 3,900 trophies. And I haven't played that account in like 4 or 5 months just because it's so unbelievably bad and frustrated. Yeah, I mean, that's, now that I think about it, ladder has been so bad. I just quit on my other account. So that's why I haven't really been like causing a storm. But that was, oh man, that's like banging your head against the wall when you get stuck in that zone. So some sort of creative fix to the ladder to try to segment players would definitely help a lot. But I think that is super, and that probably, you know, hurts a lot for as far as like retaining people inside of the game. Like not everyone is a YouTuber who like throws down on their accounts and, you know, involved in, you know, esports or whatever. A lot of these guys are just normal players who get to level 10 like me, and they're like, oh my, these level 13 Royal Giants and E-Barbs are going to make me want to die, which, you know, obviously we wish those cards were rare cards, but anyways, keep going, man. But
seriously, I think that you hit a good point there. And over-leveled cards are a pain, but they're, to me, kind of, again, they're a symptom of the overall problem, which is the fact that the reason why do people use overleveled elite barbarians and royal giants on ladder is because even if you unlock a legendary card, which, let's face it, is like, you know, a momentous occasion when you do, as someone who doesn't spend a lot, not even pure free to play, but like just unlocking a legendary is such a chance experience that it's crazy how difficult it is. But once you unlock them, then it takes forever to even upgrade one. As a matter of fact, like even as someone who pays as much as I do, I still only have one max legendary card, you know? And it's just like, especially with the new shop, I feel like forget it. On ladder,
Oh, the
if
new
you
shop
ever
is
want to
so
play
bad.
if you ever want to play a legendary card and compete on ladder, well, I'll see you in 5-10 years.
Oh man.
Because like, and I had a free-to-play player who actually met at King's Cup, KOJ. I'm not sure if you got a chance to meet him, but he was a very interesting guy, and he had a lot of great points about the game, and that was one of his points. He was just like, listen, I unlocked the EWIZ, and I was so excited. And then I realized I can never play it,
Yeah.
because, and I mean, besides tournament level standard, which is kind of, tournaments right now is kind of they're really lackluster rewards. So there's really not any opportunity to play your legendary cards, even when you do unlock them, because you're stuck playing the Elite Barbarians and Royal Giant because it's the only thing that you can level up.
Right. Yeah,
Like, do you have any other?
Your level 1 EWIZ against a set of Elite Barbarians isn't gonna do too hot.
So I feel like the whole economy of the game needs to kind of change. Either make it easier to level up legendary cards, which is tough too, because then you have the challenge of devaluing all the resources that we already spent upgrading them, right?
Right.
So like, do you have any solutions there or any thoughts on that?
Well, I think that's a great point. Like I said, I've sort of been, I've sort of shied away from the problem by like not even playing my free to play account. I think that's like, that's a point in itself that like for me, I didn't even think it was worth it to play my level 10 account anymore just because I was dealing with that exact problem. So yeah, I think that's a great point about legendaries. Like I know my girlfriend plays and she's getting, she has like level 10 commons, level 11 commons now, and she's starting to go against these like really, really high leveled players, and she'll unlock like, a level 1 EWIZ or a level 1 Night Witch or something like that, or a level 1 Graveyard. And, she's being able to play those is just, like you said, you have to upgrade those, and getting a legendary from you can get them to level 2, obviously, just by drawing another, but getting 4 more to upgrade it to level 3 as a free to play player, and not everyone's going to get 12 wins inside of a challenge. So these players who are getting like average of 3 wins on a challenge, who make up 90% of the, 90% of the player base inside of Royale, if they're like hitting that brick wall for the ladder, and it sort of feels like when you hit that point, sort of where I was, that like I've done everything I need to do with this game, because playing past this point, I'm going to blow my brains out with playing against these level 13 E-bars and these level 13 Royal Giants, and facing
and epics too. Like epics are just as much of a problem as legendaries because they're so hard to level up.
Yeah, it's tough, and that's why I've sort of shied myself away from it by not even playing on a non-max account anymore. But that's a big problem. There should be, similar to like, I mean, just looking back at Clash of Clans, I had a great time playing on my free-to-play account. I would start it up and go through the whole process over and over again. But it feels like there's like an endpoint with Royale where the ladder just becomes obsolete and you can't play it anymore. And I think Supercell realizes a lot of that, and that's why they're just moving towards these other things like challenges, which were like weekend challenges were fantastic. New card release challenges are fantastic, and like, make no mistake, Supercell's done a bunch of amazing stuff. There's a reason we play this game. We love this game and we care so much about this game. Like, I play, for me, like a game, I still play Clash Royale way more off camera than I do on camera. Like that shows,
Sure.
That goes to show how awesome the game is, and like, how much I still love it. But yeah, there's definitely there's all these small things here and there, and especially for, like you said, for free to play progression and the ladder, it's a huge problem. And now with the quest system, the last update just put a sword through my heart, man.
It was tough, man. What do you rank? What do you grade it? Be honest.
Oh, well, I mean, they put a lot of work into it. I can appreciate that. But I mean, the shop was a failure. The quest system was a failure. Taking away free chests, general people have done the math on it. Seems like a failure. Touchdown mode was, it's an okay mode, but in the end, I wouldn't say it's a failure, but it's sort of irrelevant. It's something that you play every 2 or 3 weeks, and it's only 2v2. It's only draft. You can't do 1v1. There's no real depth to the game. So I would say that one really didn't hit the mark. And I mean, what am I missing that came out inside of the
I think that was it. We don't even know what the new cards were yet because they didn't give us like a sneak peek of them. But yeah, man, I think that I agree with you. I wasn't a big fan. Like, unless you love touchdown mode, there's not a lot to be excited about.
Even if you do, you only get it every 3 weeks.
That's true. So, that's true.
So it was a rough update. And then all the hype leading up to it, like I know that, the person who does socials and their graphics are, not the same as the people on the team, but like labeling it as the biggest update ever was definitely didn't turn out that way. So it was rough. But I mean, they fought through rough updates before. So I'm staying optimistic that it's going to change. I just hope it's sooner than later, on that front.
Have you seen the Reddit post about like what they're working on?
Yeah, I've seen some, like I saw that they said like stuff that the team's talking about, stuff that they're
Yeah.
working on, and stuff that's ruled out. I don't remember any specific points. Was there anything like super
Yeah.
uh interesting?
So
I think I saw you did some video like going through some of that stuff.
yeah, thanks for watching, Pat. Nah, but seriously, like the big things were. Before I tell you the big things, in your
Right.
experience, you've known Supercell for years and years and years and years.
Right.
When it's been my experience that when they say publicly that they're working on something, that means there's a pretty good shot it's going to come, if not next update, then in a future update.
Right.
Do you agree with that, or do you think that they could just have put that out, meaning that they'll never get to it? Like what do you think the odds that we'll actually see this stuff before I tell you?
It really depend on the scope of the stuff, like, and
Okay.
how big it is. I would say that if they're going to put out that they're working on it, Supercell is very cautious not to like say something's coming and then not have it actually come out, which I think is super smart. You don't want to build up that, something needs to be on the way and not be there. So I'd say there's a solid chance of most of it, but depending on how big the projects are, give me the lowdown on the
Sure.
list.
Okay, so ability to donate legendaries, heroes being added to the game, hero cards, a new tournament system, clan wars. So those are like the big ones that stick out to me.
Oh wow.
And King Tower special abilities and King Tower skins. So King Tower special abilities and skins, that's cool stuff.
Right.
Donating legendaries, we don't even know what that means, so that's pretty cool. The thing that stood out to me is tournaments, and they even kind of went further in tournaments, and they said they're working on, or they're talking about, I should say, ability to choose your type of tournament. So it could be like triple elixir, draft tournament,
Right.
blah, blah, blah. And also they're working on a bracket system. So that's basically they didn't elaborate anymore on the clan wars idea. So that's basically what they gave us, but like that's like my wish list.
Yeah, I think that's pretty neat. I mean, obviously, like, so skins, like I'm looking for things that are going to move the needle, like we talked
Yeah.
about. You can add new stuff to the game that is cool, but it doesn't really add any depth to the game, or really get that light that fire like the 20-win challenge did, like challenges did in general, and stuff like that. So I really think that number one, clan wars obviously would be, if they could make clan wars work in some way, and it's not like some copy paste of Clash of Clans that like doesn't make sense for Clash Royale. I think that could be a big needle mover. And then also for like tournaments and making brackets and maybe having, that would be spicy. If you could have like some sort of bracket, sort of like how you enter into a challenge, but you enter into a bracket and you're fighting your way through this bracket.
Yeah.
I could see those being like a big hit that really change the shape of the game. So that would be neat. Yeah. A lot of this stuff. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. I think that bracket tournaments, I mean, that's not even, I don't even look at that as being like a huge new feature, but I think it would be huge for the game, I guess
Yeah.
it would be a huge new feature. I don't know, but I guess you could argue it, but just like you said, like just having that pro experience, even if you're not a pro, of being in like a bracket like that and,
Yeah.
and vying for that that big prize is just really appealing. And I think that even they could even have like a bracket system where you gain entry to a bigger bracket if you win, just like a poker tournament or something like
Oh,
that.
totally. Yeah.
They could have special events every weekend or something like that. I mean, you could really take it so many different ways, but I think it would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I think that would be pretty sick. And also looking at the list, I pulled it up. Yeah, having like there's a lot of stuff related to gameplay. I mean, personally for me, I think gameplay is in a pretty good place right now. I think there's like some obvious problems like card rotation, let's say with like the elixir collector and stuff like that people always get up in arms about. But like in general, I think the game's in a pretty good spot. Hopefully they fix drag glitch, lag glitch,
Yeah.
whatever
Glitches
blah, blah,
suck.
blah,
I hope
blah,
they
blah.
fix those. But like, are you saying that balance is okay in your mind too?
I think, well, obviously I'm not a pro, but I think balance is pretty decent, and the game's in a pretty decent play as far as gameplay goes. Like it's not like it's not begging, asking for help or anything like that. I think it's pretty enjoyable right now. I just think it's like adding those things like outside of direct gameplay. So like let's say adding in that bracket system, adding in some sort of clan war related thing. I think things like that would be pretty cool, and then also staying to the core principles of the game. Obviously they swung for the fences with touchdown mode, but that like was a completely different mode that that's not relevant to just regular 1v1. I think like
Yeah.
something like challenges, which I could see clan wars being, which I could see like brackets being, that you're sort of playing the same game but it's under different rules and like under a different system. I think that's really the ticket to, you know, bring, you know, really get the game to shine the most and to get people excited and buzzing about the game all over again. You know, obviously that goes to content. People want to watch more stuff. They want to watch Twitch streams. They want to watch YouTube. And yeah, so I think they're on the right path with a lot of that stuff. And if they do it the right way, which, you know, every single time, like when I played Clan Wars for the first time in Clash of Clans, it blew my mind. When Clash Royale was, you know, in that big negative peak going downhill last year, they brought out challenges, which I guess like wasn't, I think that was like sort of similar to something in Hearthstone, like whatever, that brawl something room. I don't know. They brought that in. So I'm really hoping that they, you know, they use those genius brains they have over there to cook up something super special for, you know, this next update or the update after, because I think it's definitely something the game needs right now.
Yeah, man, I think we're on the same page there. Any final thoughts? I mean, I've taken up a lot of your time. I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone's still watching this video right now, yeah, it's been a blast. I mean, personally for me, I know you're the same way. Like I love Clash Royale. You know, I play Clash Royale every single day. I play it off camera, have a lot of fun with the game. I post the game every single day on my channel. You know, I have an esports team related to the game. Like I generally just want the game to succeed. And, you know, in general, we give Supercell a pretty hard time. Again, I don't really even know anyone on the Clash Royale team personally. I'm like way less invested in the team as I was in Clash of Clans, where I knew a lot of those guys. But you know, they're a super smart group of people, and you know, they're doing some good stuff over there. So I have faith. I know a lot of people say blah blah blah, greedy Supercell, they're idiots, they're not paying attention to the community, blah blah blah. But I can assure you guys that they're paying attention to what's going on, and they're very like cognizant of what's happening inside of like, you know, the game, the community, inside of content on both YouTube and Twitch. And obviously there's nothing better they'd want than the game for the game to succeed. So, you know, I'm hoping and I'm faithful that they'll put something together. I've been posting Supercell games for 5 years on my channel. I'm an old man in this space, and, you know, Supercell more often than not comes through and delivers. So I'm really excited to see what they come out with next. And until then, I'll be grinding some grand challenges, going to the World Championship for CR, and hoping for something to come around. But yeah, hopefully something big comes out inside this next update, or else it's going to be not too fun.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I think that you hit the nail on the head. First of all, in a way, the fact that they had a bad update last update could be a good sign, because I don't think Supercell releases 2 bad updates back to back. I don't think it's ever happened, you know? So I think this could be, that could be like looking at the glass half full. But yeah, I'm expecting hopefully big things in the December update and the one after that. But in the meantime, just like you, I'm kind of enjoying the game, and I do have faith that Supercell will come through, and the best times in Clash Royale are hopefully ahead of us. Pat, I think that everybody in my audience is already subscribed to you, but if you're that one person somewhere who's never heard of Chief Pat, go ahead and check out his channel and subscribe. Pat, any last
comment,
words,
subscribe,
man?
Donate, all the above. Okay, just kidding. Yeah. Hey, man. Well, thanks for having me on your channel. You know, and yeah, hopefully bright days ahead. I'll see you in maybe in London or all around the world, and hopefully this next update is going to be fire, man. So I'm ready for it.
I'm excited, man. Thanks again for coming on. Everybody, Chief Pat, make sure you go give him some love. Let him know what you thought of his thoughts in the comments below. Huge shout out to my YouTube partner, Bren Chong. Check out his information as well in the comments, in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And as always, take care.